Okay, so while I'm on break, I am going to go over some thoughts, and um, I will call this a an analogy. Not I don't want to make it sound too pretentious, but a sort of esoteric or an esoteric look at the Barbie movie and what I believe the message of the movie really was. Um, I'm sure everybody is able to see that there is a lot of um, let's just say pearl clutching over the movie, and I don't think it's really accurate to say that it's men hating or it is feminist. It is feminist, but it's not as extreme as people think it is. And off the get the off the rip, I'll say that it is a 6 out of 10 for me. Looking at the deeper meaning of the movie, I wanted to give it more credit for being as subtle and as nuanced as it is, and so I'm tempted to say 8 out of 10. But just as a term of enjoyment, I would say 6 out of 10. Now I'm going to be reading from a thread that I had posted on Twitter, and I'll start here. Knee-jerk reactions to the Barbie movie on the surface are way off, in my opinion. I have some thoughts on what the actual message of the film is. I might need to see the movie again before I can take a firm stance on some of these ideas. Does the film say the patriarchy is bad? Yes. But does the film say a matriarchy is good? No. While the Barbie movie laments the patriarchy and how hard it is to be a woman a lot, it subtly rejects a matriarchy as it is the equally destructive opposite, which will fly over many heads. As strange as it might sound, Barbie is a very pink and playful version of the Matrix. There are two worlds, one is false and one is real. The false reality is naturally far better than the real world. There is even a weird Barbie to serve as Morpheus. Barbie is about rejecting standards of what you're supposed to be and unrealistic ideas about how the world should be. While Barbie might have been created to tell girls that they can be anything, she wasn't meant to tell girls what they should be. Corporations played a part in that. Corporation-led movements will always ultimately be about monetizing you. Barbie became corporate feminism, pushing women into the workplace or the workforce so that their purses could be milked for cash. And corporations expect praise for helping women, and put that in quotes, quote, helping women, unquote, just like Barbie expected to be thanked in the movie. What corporations helped to do, put that in quotes again, was propagate certain standards for women to meet. The expectations, physical, personal, and professional, are too much for some people. As said in the film, it is not enough to be normal. Barbie had to see the part that she played in it. Barbie Land, the perfect feminist, matriarchal world, was a fantasy created by a corporation. The idea is that those who believe in a world ran by women are chasing a carrot on a stick held by a corporation. Finding a balance is as messy as the film's message on the surface. And what I meant by that is finding a balance, creating a balance in the world, a world where women are, let's say, not lesser than or not greater than men is messy, and it's a balance. You have to find it. And on the surface, the movie's message seems really muddled and unclear, but that is just exactly how hard it is to really find a balance in real life. So we're reading on. Margot Robbie is perfect as main Barbie. The jarring thing is that she is really cold and uncaring to main Ken. I don't think it's meant to be a virtue, but a result of the fact that she is from a world that doesn't value men at all. That's what causes conflict later in the movie. Ken isn't meant to be vilified. The director didn't accidentally make him one of the best and most relatable characters. The film attacks the patriarchy, but tries to show that it doesn't hate men, contrary to what many say. Ken is sympathetic because it's not about hating men. Ken represents lonely, dissatisfied men who fall victim to a false narrative about their value, made possible by a neglectful society. in this case the matriarchy. In the real world, he adopts false ideas of what validates him as a man, which involve toxic behavior towards women. Man Ken becomes an influencer where he returns to Barbie Land and spreads patriarchy, effectively the equal opposite of the matriarchy. Both encourage domineering relationships with the opposite sex. This has a negative impact on the real world, so Barbie has to fix it. In order to retake their authority, the Barbies use the Ken's need for validation to manipulate them. It is a very dark event that only psychos would applaud. It was played like a power move, but I don't believe the director Greta Gerwig truly meant for it to be applauded. Given what happens at the end of the Barbie movie, it's easy to feel sorry for Ken, but the film is trying to say that value for a man shouldn't be determined by relationships or other certain status symbols. In other words, whoever or whatever you are enough. Spoiler, at the end, Barbie leaves behind the paradise of Barbie Land and chooses to live in the real world with patriarchy and all the negatives that the real world has to offer. She would rather deal with reality than hold on to a fantasy, a touching decision for her to make. So while the Barbie movie on the surface is just okay for me, 6 out of 10, like I said at the beginning of the video, with some really fun Kenergy, it gets a better grade from me, 8 out of 10, but only when I look deeper. At first, I was confused about the seemingly mixed messages in the film, which provoked me to give it more thought. And when I gave it more thought, I was seeing what the movie was really saying. Now I'm going to look a little bit more closely at Ken's role, because the biggest critics of the film swear up and down that it hates men. And I'm going to demonstrate why it doesn't. And I've already touched on it a little, but I'm going to touch on it some more. So, like I said in the previous thread about the Barbie movie's real message, I don't think the film hates men. I believe Greta Gerwig intentionally made likable and relatable male characters. In this thread, I'm just going to share why I like main Ken. Ken has always been just an accessory to Barbie. In the film, from the start, it's made clear that Ken lives only for her attention. She's the center of his world. To have a man's value determined by his relationship to a woman is unhealthy, but we see it happen all the time. As a man, people will judge you by whether you have a girlfriend or not, and by whether you are a virgin or not. Ironically, this can lead to women being objectified as status symbols. Not just that, but where do you live? What do you own? What symbol or object makes you valuable? Ken was searching for his value in the wrong things because he didn't know his own worth in a system that overlooked and oppressed him. And it happened under a matriarchy which proves itself to be the equal opposite of a patriarchy. Did you catch that? Neither was good for Ken. Ken got his first taste of respect and was intoxicated by it in the patriarchy in the real world, but even there, Ken was frustrated by a lack of qualifications. The movie made it a point to show that being a man alone wasn't enough to open doors, contrary to the narrative that men have it easy under the quote patriarchy. Greta Gerwig intentionally made Ken a great guy who was an underdog, who had nothing and lived in a world that cared nothing for him. It's only natural we would resonate with him. It's not our fault we love him. The director made him, and I refuse to believe it was by accident. Ken didn't end up with Barbie, and that's fine, because getting the girl doesn't give value to Ken. He can go his own way. If he gets the girl, that's fine, but he doesn't need to. Need for validation made Ken easily manipulatable. A man that knows he is already enough is stronger. And that was what the movie was saying to man and about man. It was actually encouraging more self-actualization and trying to tear down some of the ideas of what men needed to have value. So it's far from a man-hating movie. And I wish more people had the ability to look at these things with some nuance and see what I also see in the movie. And it's ironic to me that the people who seem to lack this nuance reflect the characters in the movie, because the characters in the movie don't approach things with a lot of nuance. There are extremes on both sides, the feminine side and the masculine side. There are extremes. And the reaction from the audience reflects the extremes in the movie. And it's ironic that very few people can see that. So, that is my review and analysis of the movie Barbie. I hope you all got something out of it. Thank you for watching and listening, and I will talk to you later.